you know what it's like to be in a television, a visual environment, and then we live here noon to 3 Central in a radio audio environment. And it is really wild to see Joe Biden on a clip, maybe catch a show on Fox the evening before just to brush up on what happened throughout the day, or maybe in the morning. You see the clip, and then I hear it separately on the radio without seeing it. And it's amazing how much more degraded, I guess it sounds, when you're just listening to the president of the United States speak. I do feel bad for the guy, but he's also in a position where he is supposed to represent me in this republic of a government. So he can't be off limits. It's not possible for him to be off limits.
No, the gloves are basically off. But the thing is, when I did start doing that, this was when Greg was on his weekend show. So it was several years ago. And I started doing Joe Biden. Really, I came up with the idea to do Joe Biden because I was doing Adam Schiff on his show.
Yeah. Oh, man. No, wait. Whoa. That is the creepiest thing. I know. I have this in my nightmares. The Tom Shillue Adam Schiff is the only thing that is creepier than Adam Schiff. And it's amazing.
Well, it was getting to the point of where because he was having these hearings and he was ever present in the news, I was having to do him every day. And I have to use my wife's rouge because I rouge the cheeks up,
Yeah.
And I was sick of putting on the makeup. And I said, I got to do something to get out of this Adam Schiff. So I asked Greg if I could do a Joe Biden, and he said yes. And the answer to your question, very few people ask me this because they say, who does your makeup? But you nailed it. I do use a filter. I'm going to keep it secret.
Good.
I won't tell you who does my filter, but it's an amazing filter, isn't it?
It is. And it's always, I think you've really played your cards right here, because when you're not Joe Biden, you look so youthful and vibrant. And so it really, you've elevated Tom Shillue by impersonating Joe Biden. Smart move.
Yeah. Somebody just said to me today, I was going to get coffee, and they said, hey, you look younger in person. I said, I better.
Yeah, no kidding. The camera must add, 30, 40 years as well, it seems. We're speaking with Tom Shillue. He's coming to the St. Louis Funny Bone Streets of St. Charles, April 26th and 27th. If you have never, there are people listening to the show that haven't gone to the Funny Bone before because you don't think it's your thing. This is your thing. Go to stlfunnybone.com or tomshillue.com and take in a show and laugh and enjoy an afternoon, an evening, I should say, of fun. How do you marry comedy, stand-up comedy, being there it's a pretty intimate setting when you're at the Funny Bone, with what's going on in the world? Do you bring a lot of that into your set?
Yeah. Right now, I wrote a show recently. After my parents passed away, I went through all of their stuff. My dad passed away in 2019, and then my mom in 2022. And me and my siblings went through all of their stuff, and it was amazing, this treasure trove of information about my family. I'm used to talking about my family in my act anyway, so what I did was I put a whole show together about my family, and I put slides. We have pictures of my family. We have, slides of my mom's artwork and my dad's writing and all different stuff. So it's a whole family show that I put together. So because it's kind of a self-contained show, there's no politics in it.
Okay.
It's just a show about family. But what I do then is after the show, I have basically, there's no curtain because I'm in a comedy club, but this is a very theater type show. At the end of the show, the lights go down, the music's played, and then I bring the lights up and we do some Sleepy Joe videos. We take questions about Gutfeld, and then we talk about what it's like to work on Fox News. So it's definitely a two-part show when people come to see me.
Well, we have Tyrus has been on my show since, I think, 2018. Every Thursday, we've been able to maintain a relationship with him. He came to town and did his first stand-up show in Edwardsville, which is my hometown, right across the river in Illinois. Jamie Lisso's been in here several times, Joe DeVito. We've had you come through St. Louis as well. There is such a passion for what Gutfeld as a show is doing right now in this environment. And I think that at least for the show that people get to consume every night, I have people telling me all the time, like, the show I don't miss is Gutfeld. And there's something about the way you can address the news, talk about what's going on, but do it in what I feel like is an actual conversational, like, this is the type of discussion that happens in real life. It's different than just consuming the news. And I feel like what you guys have been able to do with the show on Gutfeld is grow that and expand it. People haven't seemed to gotten tired of that presentation at all.
You know what's great about it, too, is that a lot of people ask about the script nature of the show. There is no script at all. They send out the stories. at the halfway point of the day, you get an email with the stories that we're going to be covering, and that's all you get. They tell you to read the stories. We call it like the A block, B block, C block, D block, and so there's 5 blocks, and we read the stories, and then you're just told to come and be ready to talk. And Greg likes it that way. He's very improvisational. You can tell. I mean, I perform live with Greg, and it's amazing. It's almost frustrating because with comedians, we settle on a punchline and we say it over and over every night,
Yeah.
Sometimes Greg will get a big laugh at one of our live shows. And then the next show we do, he doesn't do the line. I say, Greg, what about that line you said about, Nancy Pelosi? He said, oh, I forgot that. I said, Greg, you got to save your line.
Got to teach him some of the ways. How
Yes.
big is the staff that goes into Gutfeld? Because, I think we hear a lot about when there's big layoffs, mass layoffs at CNN or whatever, the amount of people that are involved in any given show. It can be a pretty massive enterprise. And when, you need to cut rope and you need to let go of some people to save some money if maybe the ratings aren't there or whatever it is. It's a lot of people. Do you guys have a pretty big operation around Gutfeld?
No, it's tiny. You basically have Greg. Greg's the head writer of the show, and he writes his monologue every day, that A block where he's kind of comes out and does this big tour de force. Greg writes it, and then, of course, the writing staff throws in, and they kind of punch it up. So they take a red marker, and they'll throw in some jokes. But It's mostly Greg doing that A block. But then they split up the writing duties. Kat does writing, Tyrus does writing, and then you have some of the regulars like Joe DeVito and Joe Mackey. They're also writing. But other than that, there's only about 5 other people on the show.
Wow.
Gene, the guy you see, he's the young guy who Greg makes dress. He dresses him up in leather vests sometimes. He doesn't bring up.
Greg dresses him up.
Yes. Gene, he writes on the show, and he also does warm up for the show. So it's a tiny family, and I'm telling you, the ratings for the show, as you know, the ratings are huge, and I actually think that they're higher than they are in the Nielsen ratings because I've been working in comedy my whole life. I used to do Comedy Central. I worked on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I've done Colbert, and then I worked on The Tonight Show for years, and I've never had that kind of audience response. When I go on the road now and I sell out 4 or 5 shows in a city, it's amazing. I've never had that. I mean, in my best days on Comedy Central, and like I said, so the ratings are very high, but I think they're even higher.
Yeah.
And we do it with a staff over there at Gutfeld of really, I say like 5. It's like 5 people plus the people you know. So it's a tiny staff. And these other late night shows, they have 30 or 40 people who just write jokes for the show. And then from there, there's another 40 or 50 people who are, PAs and everything else. So it's an amazingly skeletal staff, and we get a lot out of them.
Yeah, definitely quality over quantity. And I think it really shows as a viewer myself. I'm curious if you or if the show experiences are there people? I think I remember Rush Limbaugh used to talk about how everywhere he go, people would whisper like, "I never miss a show." But no, he would be like, "Why don't you say that out loud to your massive amount of following?" I wonder how much Fox News gets that, but specifically the Gutfeld show that is competing against a less traditional cable news base of alternatives for people to view. Do you get people who do the whisper thing to you, like, "I don't miss a show"?
Absolutely. In the mainstream, because I have my foot in the world of entertainment as well, because that's really where I came from. I started doing stand-up and then did a lot of acting in commercials and things like that. So, there are, guys like Michael Loftus and myself, we kind of work in both of those worlds. So we see it. So sometimes we'll show up to do, Michael Loftus and I recently did some voiceovers for animation. We get into the studio, and the people doing the recording kind of would whisper to us, "Hey, I like watching you on Gutfeld." So in the world of showbiz, it's people will whisper it. For instance, I work a lot on The Tonight Show, and I love it over there. Jimmy Fallon's a great guy, and some of your listeners might know the Ragtime Gals. I sing in a barbershop quartet with Jimmy, and so I'm over there, a lot over the past 10 years. And some of the musical artists, for instance, like we sang with the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Now, not all of them, but I'll tell you, 2 secret Backstreet Boys watch Gutfeld every night.
Oh, man. You've now made it my life mission to meet you and have you tell me who those people are. I don't know how I'm going to get it out of you. I need you to be in the mentality of Joe Biden, and I'm going to trick you into telling me. I'm a Backstreet Boys girl over in sync. You can tell him I said that.
And believe it, one of the members of Weezer watches Gutfeld.
That's great.
Wow.
I'm excited to hear this. Okay, last question for you. We're speaking with Tom Shillue, who's going to be in St. Louis at the St. Louis Funny Bone Streets of St. Charles, April 26th to 27th. Go get your tickets you can go to stlfunnybone.com or make sure you check out tomshillue.com. That contingent of people, the ratings that you're talking about with Gutfeld, the ratings that maybe don't even appear on Nielsen, the whispers, I watch your show. Do you think that translates at all into where this country might be in November? Any correlation?
Yeah, I do. And, it's where it was in 2016 as well, because everyone was surprised that they were kind of laughing. They weren't taking Trump seriously at all. But then there are people out there. I knew that what Trump was going to do because you talk to the blue collar guys, and they were. I said this the other day on Fox. In 2016, the cab drivers, the plumbers, the electricians, they were saying, you know what? Hey, I'm going to give this guy a shot. Hey, this guy Trump, I don't know, he's a loudmouth, but I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to vote for him. Now, the same people are saying to me, they're not talking about Trump. They're talking about how bad their life is under Biden.
Wow.
So to me, I think it's going to be even bigger than people expect this time around.
Well, we will be tuned into Fox News, especially Gutfeld in the evening, to continue to watch you usher Joe Biden into the November election. You're the Joe Biden. You're the version that I can handle.
Listen, all the Greeks voted for me. Did I tell you that? And Euripides and Plato and all those guys.
Oh, Bidenomics himself on the Annie Fry Show. Who knew? Thank you, Tom. We look forward to hopefully seeing you when you come here in April, and we'll send a lot of Annie Fry Show listeners your way to fill up that comedy club. Good to have you on the show.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.